few words about the minority perspective on the income tax. I did favor restructuring the income tax and agree with the majority that we should broaden the base by going to adjusted gross income. And I agreed on the concept of limiting deductions, but had a slightly different approach. My view was that we should have a 30% limit on total deductions, but let people be free to choose how they would take those deductions within that limit. And lastly, I felt we should recognize that employer-provided benefits are indeed a form of compensation, and that if they are not subject to tax, that creates some unfairness for employees who receive their income in forms that are subject to tax. Secondly, it has the effect over a period of time, not taxing employee-provided benefits, over a period of time, has the effect of disconnecting people from the true cost of benefits. And if we want people to spend health care resources more wisely and more carefully, they should be subject to the same rules as if they receive their income in another form. Secondly, on the estate tax, I believe it's very important that our estate tax stay aligned with whatever the federal exemption is. It changed in December, and it changed earlier in the last couple of years, so that it is now a higher exemption than we have here in Vermont. In my view, that creates a question in the minds of high wealth individuals as to whether they should want to continue their residence in Vermont or not. And by matching whatever the federal exemption may be, we take that issue off the table, and we can focus on other reasons of why they should want to stay in Vermont, and not on reasons why they should not. Thirdly, I believe there are some modifications we could make in our corporate income tax rate that would make us more competitive. A couple are somewhat obscure, but very important to the people who are affected by them. The single sales factor in the apportionment formula and the throwback rule are very important to businesses that export, particularly manufactured goods outside of the state. And to the extent we do not include these rules, we are putting our Vermont corporations or corporations that do business in Vermont at a competitive disadvantage. Lastly, just as we worked hard to get our personal income taxes lower, flatter, and simpler, we should do the same with our corporate income tax. The more we can make our rates competitive with those in other states, the more we encourage and attract investment by corporations, job creation, and growth, which ultimately benefits the people of Vermont. Lastly, on the property tax, I proposed that we consider, and it is still in the formative stages, but we consider addressing the issue of income sensitivity. In my view, the income sensitivity portion of our property tax has grown much faster and larger than most people expected when it was first created. And I think there are ways that we can make it simpler and perhaps extend not to such high levels of family income, household income, as is presently the case. The original circuit breaker program was designed to insulate low-income families and lower middle-income families from the true cost of their property taxes and base it more on their income. I believe that was a sound and reasonable policy, but the income sensitivity now is extended up as high as $90,000, and in my view, that's gone a little too far. So what my thinking is on this issue is that we would have a double advantage in reducing the size of the sensitivity program. First of all, it would reconnect more of the households with the true cost of education. And secondly, it would create some additional revenue which we could use to make our income taxes more competitive, but without eliminating the mortgage interest, property tax, and charitable deductions. The last recommendation the minority made was that we try to get a single definition of income. We have multiple definitions of income, multiple programs, and multiple taxes. And I believe it's reasonable to set as a goal that we have a single definition that people can use in all situations and circumstances. That's in the interest not only of transparency, but in simplifying people's, the tax structure, making it easier for people to understand their taxes and what they will owe and what they will not. Lastly, we want to offer a few thoughts as a commission upon which we ask you to reflect as you, the legislature, and outside of the legislature, to consider tax reform. First of all, the tax system is a collection of broad rules, but these rules have many policy exceptions. Secondly, these policy choices create perception problems, which Bill and Kathy have explained quite well for Vermont's tax system and our tax discourse. Thirdly, and this is so very important, broad rules push tax rates down. And a tax system is simple, competitive, and straightforward, easy to explain and easy to defend. And lastly, that exceptions within the code have the exact opposite. They drive rates up. And exceptions tend to create complexity, economic distortions, and make the system itself more and more difficult to defend. So with that, we close our presentation and we open for questions.